Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness, and bestower of immortality. Om Shri Krishnaya Namah. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 5, entitled Yoga of Renunciation of Karma. That's the most important purpose of human life. How to live, not being a slave to karma. If your life is dictated by karma, then things never happen the way you want them. Because karma rules. You have planned the whole thing, this is the way you want to live. But karma comes with a stick. It changes your thought, makes you speak things you didn't want to speak. And creates situations around you that are not so pleasing to you. But then a karma can also create a very positive view. Suddenly you see a lake shining before your eyes, but you don't know whatever lies before your eyes are lies. You are looking at a big mirage. A lot of prosperity comes, and the mind goes after it. Without going into all details, 24th verse, Yontah sukhontara tathantar jyotirevaya sayogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuto dhigacchati. One who finds bliss within, rejoices within, and finds the light of wisdom within himself. Such a yogi becomes Brahman, attains Brahma Nirvana. Three withins are very important, called Antara Jyoti, Antara Rama, Antah Sukha. These three terms have come into this verse. Antar Jyoti, literally meaning light within. You are not depending upon the light, external light. The light is your light of understanding. And these 3 points have been brought into this chapter from verses 13 to 23. And we'll reiterate the highlighted verses. For Antar Jyoti, in verse number 17, Tad buddhya tad atmana tat nishtha tat parayana gacchanti apunaravritti gana nirdhuta kalmashaha. This is the goal presented before a spiritual aspirant. Tad buddhya. Let your buddhi understand what is Tat, the absolute self. Tadatmana. Go into higher understanding that Tat is your very soul. What you say, me, you are meowing. Aham Brahmasmi. You are roaring. From meowing to roaring. That's try to understand. In satsanga you are giving the highest immediately before your view. If you have planned Kailash trip, then immediately the whole Kailash picture is presented before you. But understand what it implies. You hold the picture in your mind, and you can't just, simply because you are able to hold it, you have not reached there. But as long as you have a picture behind it, you will not become bored in your sadhana. Your trip will be always interesting or coming closer and closer and closer. So that's the purpose of giving the highest wisdom in a very short time. Tad buddhya tad atmana tat nishtha. And your nishtha, your firm resolve of what you want to attain, that nishtha, you have resolved, this is what my goal is, and should not be shaken. The simple village term is dat. Dat jao. So if you have a dat, then as your movement starts and bhakti begins to come, devotion, now what you realize, that divine miracle is happening. Things that you thought were so difficult, forces of darkness were so terrible, before your very eyes, they are running away. Hut. That hut. And where you are going to, the veil of ignorance that had always restricted your understanding, that veil suddenly tears up. Begin your sadhana with rat. Rat means repeat. Repeat your japa. Start using your tongue. Sing your kirtan. Recite your prayer. And sometimes if you are sleepy, do it loudly. Rat. This prepares you for following in Kundalini yoga. That aspect is securing the base center. No. Rat aspect is securing your base center. Rat, repeating mantras, kirtans, so many things. That Manipur chakra, karma granthi. Manipur karma granthi means that's where the knot of karma. If Kundalini passes through the navel center, your self-effort goes into a very high level. So it's called. And in that movement, you do not allow a sense of defeat. And you develop patience, endurance, wait and watch, but not break up. Shake, but don't break. And especially don't get baked. If you begin to shake, try to understand it is not against your sadhana. If you are patient, your shaking is strengthening your root. You don't shake at all, you have become insensitive. So you're neither here nor there, just a brick. Stick like a brick. But if you shake, You are alive. In the shaking movement, your heart begins to move, allow higher level. So from Manipur chakra, you come to Anahata center, heart, Kundalini-based heart center. That's not the absolute heart, but it creates a bhavana, a profound change in your feeling. When that happens, now miracle of grace begins to operate through your life. So things that you thought were so difficult to remove, they simply hurt. While you are sleeping, they ran away. I'm joking. And all this culminates with Agya Chakra. In Agya Chakra, Tattva Gyan. If Agya Chakra opens, Kundalini opens it, you have attained enlightenment. If you attain enlightenment, Sahasrara Chakra showers nectar. You are all drowned in bliss. Not a trace left out of it. So I have given you a kind of a 3-point, Antara Jyoti, the light that you are seeking for your whole life's movement. See, if you are in dark and there is no light, then everything is drowned, nothing can you do, complete frustration. But when you have discovered light of lights in your own heart, imagine that Antara Jyoti. So that first stage, Antara Jyoti. Second, same chapter gives Ihaiva tarjitah sargo yesham samye sitam manah nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te sthitah. Ihaiva, while you are alive, you come to the state of understanding that the world is nothing but Brahman. While you are dreaming, you come to realize it is a dream. And what does it mean then? You are everything in that dream world. From a roach, frog, crow, peacock, mountain, sky, ocean, and all your historical emotions. You are. So that type of an understanding must develop while you are living your life. An internal understanding that you are not conditioned by happenings of the world, including happenings that happen in your own body, brain, nervous system. It's a tremendous challenge. But whether you like it or not, देह धरे का दंड है, सब काहू को होए. You don't have to be a sadhaka to go through it. All your expectations begin to dwindle. It's a crude description. You lived and created such a warm and a big family. But there comes a stage, the dearest one comes here, you say, who are you? You are not, we cannot a jnani. But everything now is not recognized the way you used to recognize. You are forced to ignore the realities of the world. Don't wait to be forced. Through your wisdom, understand that all this is nothing but Brahman. Now that doesn't mean that you are now, your relationships are in turmoil. No, your relationships are more profound. So now you love God in a child, in your child. You love God in the loves of everything. When a bird looks at you lovingly, you see God in the eyes. And you begin to discover that source of love within your own personality. Deep down in your heart, the very source of your personality is nothing but love. So, ihaiva tarjito sarga. Even while you are in your body, that's your goal. Don't go through life's challenges without a purpose. Those challenges are extreme. And then another bad news, no purpose behind it. And shocking news, you have to repeat them again next birth. More horrible news, you will continue to do that birth after birth. There's no end to it. Say, how many births? There's no end. Maya has no beginning, no end. See, instead of going into the unending process of boundless, limitless suffering, dukkha, even while you are in your body, become intent upon attaining the goal of life. Live purposefully, not purposelessly. And that art you have to learn through satsanga. And as you do sadhana, it begins to, your own self-confidence begins to shine brighter. You don't need to look to others. Am I doing well? Is my headache gone? You discover your inner steadiness and progress in such a way that there is no doubt about it. Ihaiva tarjitah sargo yesham samye sthitam manah. If you have come to that state of understanding that the world is Maya, and the real I am is like the sky. All the world moves like clouds. The sky has no problem. To a child, yes. Look at that. The sky has no room. The clouds have covered the whole sky. But don't stay a child, grow up. The sky remains untouched. The I am remains untouched. If you have that, samye sthita, no matter how things happen, in your practical life, you will be handling everything artistically, skillfully. Samye sthita doesn't mean that smoke has started coming from a corner of your house, you are seated, thinking of Samya, with a face looking like Samya. That's stupidity. You can be externally, depending upon what situation you face. Externally, you can be extremely busy, you can be running, you can be doing things in a very expert way, in a gentle way, or in a very vigorous way. If you are hammering, you can't do that gentle. You will be handling all your things with practical reality. Internally, samya. You are just the same. That's samya drishti. Samye sthitam mana. Nirdosham. Now all the dosha you eat. I'm joking. Dosha that you can't digest. That's dosha. Defects. Defects start in your body, aging, and so forth. So many changes have come, they are all doshas. And more psychological defects are anger, greed, hate. So all these defects that make a person very restricted, mystically ugly, dusht. Terrible. All those doshas, defects, they move away. Sabam Brahma, Brahman is equally present everywhere. To understand that. Otherwise, your mind is constantly involved with, I am a religious person. I have to go to the trip with Badri Kedar in order to find God. No, I'm not underestimating. It all depends upon your need. If you are a patient, you have to go to the doctor. There's no problem about it. But the goal is to come to that state that you don't think of going somewhere to find God. God is shining through you. Your very eyes will not operate if God is not within you. You are the You are the greatest temple in your own personality. And surprisingly enough, the very soul in you is a radiating light coming from God. So then, why are you going to run around to look for God? Samya sthita. Everywhere, wherever you are placed, you are with God. You are in a devalaya, in a sacred place. These are high ideals. That's what you have to work upon. And then another aspect of samya, when you meet people and deal with them, you begin to love some people because of your way of thinking. And begin to hate others because they can't walk well, they stammer, and because there are many defects in them. If you had a samya, you are seeing same God in those who are prosperous, those who are advancing with virtue, those who are degrading themselves. If a person becomes a patient, you don't hate them. You begin to understand compassion is needed, but they are the same lovable personality. God is behind everyone. So that type of heart develops. Samya, equal vision. For easy understanding, when you see reflected suns in so many jars of water, if you are looking at studying this as a kid, now your mind is recording that little sun there is happy because the water is calm. But that sun is in a terrible situation. Along with the water, there is a jumping frog. That one is in a pot where the water is oozing out, and that foolish sun doesn't know what's going to happen to it. That is called Vishab Drishti. Samya Drishti, every reflected sun is that sun. So no matter whichever way the reflected sun is in whatever condition it is, worshipper of God, Suryaya Namah. Ghat ghat mein hai Sai Ramta. In every individual, same divine self abides. Therefore, katuk bachan mat bol re. Katuk bachan, not use your ugly tongue. Harsh. And vachan implies don't develop that negative attitude towards people. There is God behind all. That doesn't mean that now, therefore, anybody, whatever he says, you just obey it. That has nothing to do with it. You recognize sun shining in jars is the same. But that doesn't mean that you can take from jar and start drinking it. Because it's charanabrix. It doesn't mean, therefore, that you do satisfy every body according to what they want. No. You will be, even as parents, you don't satisfy all the children as they want. If they have digestive trouble and they want something to eat, like rasgullas, you hide them from their view. You're dealing with people and your practical reality is in no way disturbed. But your heart is in no way, it doesn't gather muck. In no way does it hold grudge and hate against people. Whom are you hating? You find people in an inferior status. You must realize how much they are suffering. And so, I can go on with it, but this is to understand. Because samya drishti, samam brahma. And Yoga Vasishtha gives very advanced way. Patatyangar varshecha vati va malayanile bhutale bradati vyomni samam aste gya atmani. Understood it? Patatyangar varshecha. Suddenly you got up and see a terrible volcanic eruption has happened. An angar, burning embers, red, big, fiery, red stones. They are showering everywhere. Patatyangar varshecha. And another situation suddenly comes in, the scene changes. Vativa malayanile. Beautiful breeze comes from a sandalwood trees, a forest of sandalwood trees. Shitala manda sugandha. It's cool, gracious movement, fragrant. Now, your saintly vision sees both in the same way. Same God that was shining through the fiery embers is also expressing himself through Sital Mand Sugandha. In other words, you are not shaken by the changes that go on occurring in the world. You are not shaken by intense adversity as well as very high level of prosperity, worldly prosperity. You are not shaken. You are very prosperous and suddenly all prosperity is dumped. Of course, when I say this, countless, it is a matter of shaking and that's normal reality. But try to understand, no matter how much you have gotten here, one day you will shake off your own body, including your brain. You will be doing it. So if you have all this within your view, allow your mind to understand that God is guiding you. And so no matter how things may happen, it may seem that the whole world you are depending upon is some crushed. I don't know where to go. But when you realize or discover that God is within you, then you have not lost anything. That God can bring the entire creation in a very moment. For you it takes long time. But in divine hand, the whole earth planet is just soaring in the sky in divine hand. Countless things go on happening. So we're not going to too much detail. That's the idea behind. That's called samatva drishti. God's presence is sustaining you. And if you are highly advanced, you are in tune with God. And if you are extremely advanced, aham brahmasmi, I am Brahma. Therefore, that type of vision before your mind and that type of fulfillment of purpose of life. Now you are not living in a world of when my good days will come. How wonderful it was there when I was 5-year-old. So bold. But there is samya, no matter how things are. The deep core, the reality has not changed. And all this that you are encountering is a process. When a seed has to grow, it has to break down. And growing process is constantly shocking process. Figure that out. But behind all that, there is a divine hand. And that aspect has to enter your personality, and that's the big mantra behind, big secret. In other words, bring a little ray of devotion to God, a link with God. Once you have done it, you don't have to shrink. God is with you. When a baby is being guided by his father, the baby doesn't have to shrink. Father is guiding. And the next quotation is antah sukha, internal joy. Shaknoti ihaiva yah shudham paraksharir vimokshanat kama krodhodbhavam vegam sa yuktah sa sukhi nara. Before departing from the, is a similar repeat, before departing from this world, he who has overcome kama krodhodbhavam vegam, the force of kama, desire, krodha, anger, and all related impurities, he who has overcome the force of impurity. Impurities can stay, but they shouldn't be forceful. Dust can be around, but they shouldn't force themselves to your eyes. So, if you have come to that state, sa sukhi nara, such a person is really joyous. That's antah sukha. Antar jyoti, antararama, antah sukha. These 3 points I have covered all this talk. And the present verse in 24th says, one who finds bliss within, rejoices within, and finds the light of wisdom within himself, such a yogi becomes Brahman and attains Brahma Nirvana. Two terms have been used in this chapter. First stage, Brahma Sthiti. You come to a stage from where you cannot fall back. That's called Brahma Sthiti. Now, as you progress further, and you come to a stage where you have discovered the fullness of your potentiality. Who am I? A complete revelation. Brahma Nirvana. Brahma Sthiti, being firmly focused on Brahman. Brahma Nirvana, you have attained the absolute goal. Labhante Brahma Nirvanam Rishaya Kshina Kalmasha Chinnadvaidayatatmana Sarvabhuta Hite Rata. Sages who have destroyed all their sins, if you become free of karma, then sins are all finished. As long as you are involved with karma, there will be always, no matter what karma you do, there are degrees. So much virtue, 90% virtue, 10% vice. 80% vice, 20% virtue. You are dealing with mixed karma. So you cannot be free of sinful karmas completely until karma itself moves away from you, until you you develop an understanding that you are not someone defined by karmas. You are beyond karmas, beyond body, beyond mind, beyond intellect. I am, that am I. But as long as your view is you are body, and somehow you will jump out of this body and get into another body, but body. The whole process is based on karma. In this gripped by karma, you will have there is not your purpose of life is never fulfilled. Your happiness is always hopping. Biggest happiness you have, and you have to hop out of it. So your goal is karma nash. Turn away, let your karmas be completely put into fire of knowledge, jnanagni. And those people who have destroyed all their karmas, they are called sages, rishis. Kshina kalmasha. Kalmash refers to more in a profound way speaking. Raja Yoga talks about avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, ignorance, egoism, attachment, hatred, fear of death. These, when they dominate your mind, so a lot of black suit is coming into your mind day by day. That's kalmash. So no matter what you do, you find your whole house smoke-ridden. Kalmash. Kalik laga hua hai. Someone has showered a taint, black taint. Holy hai. And everything is looking black. And that's what happens. When you look at yourself, look at the world, look at your life, what are you seeing? Kalmash. Even things that look so good. But there's a bird behind your voice which says, how long? Rang mein bhang. You are enjoying it, and suddenly, how long? Your enjoyment finishes. That's kalmash. Kshina kalmasha. That kalmash moves away. Mind filled with love of God. When you bring love in your heart, it's bringing light, bringing nectar. And all kalmash based the heart that was constantly in a state of fear, sorrow, anxiety, depression, that all this begins to move away. And your heart is enjoying, finding the greatest source of love. Nothing nourishes your heart more in a profound way than love. Even big teachings don't. But it's a love in your heart that has the biggest impact. So when you begin to inspired by that love, you face many challenges, but you never complain. Rather, you are proud. And if you can understand that love is God Himself. The ordinary love is a love of moha. You don't really know what you are loving. And it is a shaken love. And that's extremely frustrating. But now you have a type of love that cannot deceive you. You can't fall away from it. And where there is absolute, there is no comparison. In incomparable, there is no challenge. So if you have that type of love you are moving towards, now no matter how much you may face in your life, challenges and plans and projects, no matter how much, that love takes away all burden and it sprinkles the magic of joy. That's why when you describe the stories of saintly personalities, they look for their challenging situations. Rama going into the forest, crying, "Where is Sita? Where is Sita?" Asking every tree. And then the Ramayana says, Lord Shiva with Parvati is also overviewing this situation. And Lord Shiva bows down to Rama. And Parvati says, if he is such a divine personality, why is he crying for Sita, Sita? And Shiva says, you go and test him. And Parvati Devi comes, takes the form of Sita and stays on the pathway of Rama. Rama and Lakshmana see and they smile. They come to Parvati Devi, and instead of Parvati's expectation that they will be so happy to see Sita, but instead what they do, they fold their hands. They say, "O Devi, what has happened that you were separated from your Lord Shiva?" What I'm trying to, all this, so many interesting parables are given to explain to you how those who are advanced personalities, they face great challenges. To an outsider, they seem so terrible. Like Jesus crucified, see, tremendous challenge. But look into his heart. Even in that stage, he says, "O Lord, forgive them. They know not what they are doing. They know not they are making Christ imparted, famous." With this I've concluded. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.